I have a Filipino boyfriend. He's a bartender. The first day I met him, he's like, okay, so I'm going to take you out on a date tomorrow. And I said, okay. He tries often to keep our relationship healthy and going, and I really do appreciate that. I think it's super cute. I think a lot of men, unfortunately, in the US, which is understandable with how expensive everything is nowadays, is they have a hard time like providing, I guess, for me. I've had like past boyfriends who've like made me pay them gas money, which is just crazy to me.
How did you meet your boyfriend?
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, the Philippines is actually a really attractive place for a whole lot of reasons. You can start mentioning the beautiful islands, the lovely people, the landscape, and all of that, and its rich history and culture. But there's one thing that has always been a factor. So it is not a secret that a lot of foreigners have been coming to the Philippines because of the women. That is actually a huge attraction. I can tell you as a foreigner myself, I've been a beneficiary of the good Filipino women, Filipinas. But in this video, we're actually talking about the men, the Filipino men, the men from the Philippines being such an attraction as well. So in this video, we'll be talking to an American. She actually met her boyfriend in a cruise ship as a bartender. What could be a better story to tell than that? We'll be bringing you everything from the challenges, her life in the Philippines, and what she has learned from dating a Filipino and living amongst the Filipino people. The main story is actually how they met, and to me, I find it to be very fascinating, and I'm sure you'd find it that way as well. So let's just dive straight into it.
I'm with
Berkeley. Hi,
Berkeley.
guys.
All right. So Berkeley, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Berkeley. I'm from Arizona. I actually grew up in Idaho, though. Moved to Arizona when I was like 10 years old. And then in March of 2024, I ended up moving to the Philippines. And that's where I'm living now.
Wow, nice. All right. So what made you decide to move to the Philippines?
So I have a Filipino boyfriend, and he
nice.
gave me the idea of coming here for school. I've always wanted to be a veterinarian, but unfortunately, the schooling is very expensive in the US. So that wasn't an option for me. But I found that the Philippines, because they teach in English, it's much more accessible for me. And it is affordable, and it is quality education. The US will accept your degree. You do have to attend a foreign student graduate program after returning to the US, but I think that's totally worth it, not graduating $500,000 in debt.
You mentioned a boyfriend, right?
Yes.
I would like to ask a few questions about that if you don't mind.
Okay.
How did you meet your boyfriend?
So I actually met him at his job. He works on cruise ships.
Oh,
He's
nice.
a bartender.
Okay.
And that's where I met him, and we were dating for about a year and a half before I ended up deciding to move here. So I did want to establish a good relationship with him before I just up and left my home country. But yeah, I met him at his job, and that's what he's still doing. He still works on cruise ships.
Honestly, it's not something that happens all the time. It happens in the reverse. You see a lot of Filipinas. You see them with a lot of Americans.
I do have a classmate actually whose parents are the same. He has an American mom and a Filipino dad.
What was your first impression of him, and how did the relationship develop?
So guys, I had to interrupt to bring to you a very important information. I understand how important it is for you to be with your loved ones, and there's only one visa service that I recommend, and that's Filipino Visa. It is linked in the description. Obviously, we are committed to protecting our community and our audience. The only visa service that I recommend to get you the right visa for your spouse or for your fiancé. Only visa service that ensures the best rate of success. Experience reliable, fast, and premium visa services.
And they offer free consultation.
Check it in the link in the description and also in the pinned comments.
Now let's go back to the video.
Well, he was just very confident, and I think that's what drew me to him. He's very funny. He's got lots of tattoos, which I like.
Oh, nice.
So that kind of got me first. He has cute style too. He's always wearing nice shoes.
Oh.
He's got a cute smile. He's got his little glasses. He's just a little cutie, and I love him so much. And I think it was the confidence that got me. He was so bold right when I first met him. Like the first day I met him, he's like, "Okay, so I'm gonna take you out on a date tomorrow," and I said, "Okay, sure." Like I love the boldness of it and the courting. He's very he tries often to keep our relationship healthy and going, and I really do appreciate that. I think it's super cute and kind.
Honestly, I agree with you that he has all the attributes of a good boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not surprised. Have you noticed any cultural differences in how relationships work here in the Philippines compared to your home country?
Yes, I mean, of course, there's going to be big differences. I think I need to be careful with what I say for this question, though. Um,
Don't get in trouble.
I think a lot of men, unfortunately, in the U.S., which is understandable with how expensive everything is nowadays, is they have a hard time, like providing. I guess
Okay.
for me, I've had like past boyfriends who've like made me pay them gas money, which is
Wow.
just crazy to me. But here, of course, that is not the case at all. My boyfriend is very much like, I'll cover all of your expenses, like,
Wow.
which I find like that is so amazing to me and so kind and unnecessary, but still very appreciated.
Are there any Filipino practices or, cultures in relationship that you found difficult to adjust to or you've embraced totally?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's, of course, I can't speak his native language, which makes me feel like I can't connect with him on that deep of a level. I hope one day I can learn his Tagalog, of course, so that we can communicate more deeply in his native language. But culturally wise, I actually think that there's not many differences in our own beliefs. Of course, he's very religious and I'm not. So that of course has its own challenges, but um that's something that you just have to work through with your own partner is those kinds of things, and that's what really is going to show you if your relationship is healthy and stable, is if you're able to work through those things.
So, how do you both balance your cultural identities while building a shared life together?
I think it's important to incorporate each other's culture, constantly being aware, and being accepting of things that may be unfamiliar to you, even if they're scary or frustrating or they don't make sense. It's always, you got to go into relationships open-minded, and you're never going to be able to change the person that you're with. So you have to be able to grow and learn and adapt together. And I think because we come from different cultures, it's been more of a learning experience for both of us, just to learn and grow from each other rather than growing apart due to our differences.
That's a nice one. What advice do you have for any other person whose relationship has the same background as yours?
It's a good question. I think, like I mentioned earlier, just being open-minded and accepting of cultural differences, and trying not to judge. Always be willing to accept the differences. Of course, seeing each other often is more beneficial, but if you have to do long distance, I just recommend that communication is your biggest thing. You always got to be talking and being honest with each other and communicating constantly. I think that's what makes our relationship so healthy, even though it sucks.
So, how have you found it adjusting to the Filipino
Philippines.
system and the culture? Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely been some challenges here and there. I do find some of the government institutions are a little tricky to work with, and a little expensive, I find. But otherwise, the people here are wonderful. Everyone is super helpful. They'll go out of their way to make sure that you're comfortable and that they're helping you in any way that they can. So it's really the people that make this country what it is.
All right. I think we'll stick to the people for
Mhm.
now. How have you found adjusting to the Filipino people? It's kind of a rush in the United States compared to
Yeah,
how things
are
work here.
here.
So, how have you found adjusting to the Filipino people?
Like you said, in the US, everything is very quick and efficient. Like everything is done quickly and on time. We have strict deadlines for everything. And here it's just very lax. People are very chill. Nobody's in a hurry to go anywhere, which is just totally different for me. So I've kind of had to learn how to slow down and be patient and work at the Filipinos' pace rather than working at an American's pace, because I'm like, go, go, go. I walk fast. I drive fast, which is not something that you can do here, really. And I don't want to impose myself on them by walking up fast behind them.
What was the most surprising thing about the Philippines?
Okay, the most surprising things for me is probably the transportation and the driving. Coming from the US, where it's really only cars on the road, and then you come here and there's tricycles, jeepneys, motorcycles, like everything just zooming past you constantly. It has been a very big adjustment learning about the driving, but I really enjoyed it. I like how everyone yields here. In the US, if you pull out in front of someone, they're just going to hit you. But here, it's very common for people to yield for you and just let you go. And I actually think that the driving might be safer here because people are more cautious and aware of what's going on around them instead of just driving and assuming that people won't pull out in front of them and stuff like that.
How about the food? Do you have a favorite?
I do. I would say my favorite is I think it's called tapsilog. It's like the
Wow.
sweet meat.
Beef, right?
Yes, I love it. I don't know. It's kind of reminds me of like candied bacon. I think that's what it's called. Hopefully
Okay.
the name is correct. But I love that meal, especially like for breakfast or for lunch. I really love the desserts here. Like halo-halo is great. Pandesal I love. Anything with ube in it is delicious.
Oh, that's nice. I also like tapsilog, by the way.
Yes,
So that's the
delicious.
common.
Sarap.
Yeah, it is very sarap. Your Tagalog is like on a scale of 1 to 10.
My Tagalog's not good, but I'm learning. Mag-aaral ako mag-Tagalog po.
Oh, okay. That's a good way to end it.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I don't think there's any doubts in how beautiful a story this is. Perfect. Happened at sea. Like you meet someone you've never met before, fall in love with the person, and end up living in your country. The US is quite far from where we are in the Philippines, and it's just an example of how powerful love can be. She's actually having the best relationship that she's ever had. You know, she had challenges, of course, with adjusting to the culture and the background of her a multicultural relationship, but it is working out fine. So don't forget to check out the link in the description and the pinned comments. Until we meet again on our next video. Ingat!